At the center of the story is the unpredictable and fiercely determined Phyllis Summers, a woman known throughout Genoa City for her sharp instincts, relentless ambition, and willingness to push boundaries when she feels cornered. In this imagined scenario, tensions finally explode when Phyllis takes a shocking and dangerous step, grabbing a knife during a confrontation that leaves everyone around her stunned and terrified. The moment becomes one of those unforgettable soap opera scenes where emotions run wild, alliances fracture, and the balance of power suddenly shifts in a way no one expected. For years, Phyllis has lived on the edge of Genoa City's most volatile conflicts. She has battled powerful figures, fought for control of her destiny, and refused to back down even when the odds were stacked against her. Her rivalry with the formidable Victor Newman, and the complicated relationships surrounding the Newman and Abbott families have created a constant storm of drama. This script builds on that history by imagining a moment when the pressure on Phyllis becomes unbearable. After being pushed, betrayed, and manipulated by those she believes are trying to destroy her, she makes a desperate move that sends shockwaves through everyone present. The scene unfolds with a tense atmosphere that reflects the classic storytelling style of American daytime drama. In Genoa City, nothing stays calm for long, and this particular moment captures the essence of the genre. Explosive confrontations, emotional breakdowns, and life-changing choices made in seconds. When Phyllis picks up the knife, it is not simply an act of aggression. It is the culmination of weeks of mounting frustration and fear. She feels cornered, convinced that her enemies are closing in, and that the only way to regain control is to make a bold, terrifying statement. Those present in the room quickly realize that the situation has spiraled far beyond a normal argument. The blade in Phyllis's hand becomes a symbol of just how far things have gone. Characters who once underestimated her now see the fierce determination in her eyes. Some try to calm her down, others attempt to reason with her, while a few silently calculate how this dangerous standoff might shift the power dynamics within Genoa City. What makes this imagined storyline so gripping is the emotional complexity behind Phyllis's actions. She is not simply acting out of rage. Instead, the moment reflects years of personal battles, fighting for respect, struggling with betrayal, and trying to prove that she cannot be easily crushed by the powerful forces around her. In the world of the young and the restless, characters often walk a thin line between hero and villain, and Phyllis has always embodied that unpredictable duality. Throughout the script, the tension builds as each character reacts differently to the crisis. Some see Phyllis as a dangerous threat who must be stopped before someone gets hurt. Others recognize the desperation behind her actions and attempt to reach the woman they once trusted. This emotional tug-of-war creates a layered narrative that explores loyalty, fear, and the consequences of pushing someone too far. Another key element of the script is the psychological battle taking place in the room. Phyllis may be holding the knife, but the real struggle is for control of the situation, control of the narrative, and control of the future. Characters like Nick Newman and Jack Abbott, depending on the interpretation of the scene, could find themselves caught between protecting those they care about and preventing the confrontation from turning into a tragedy. The power dynamics that have defined Genoa City for decades also play an important role in shaping the moment. Phyllis has always had a complicated relationship with authority and influence. Facing figures who control vast business empires and wield enormous social power, she often feels like an outsider forced to fight harder than everyone else. In this imagined storyline, that sense of isolation fuels her dramatic decision. Holding the knife becomes a declaration that she will no longer be ignored, manipulated, or dismissed. Visually, the scene would unfold like a classic soap opera climax. The room falls silent except for tense voices and quick breaths. Every character watches carefully, aware that one wrong move could trigger disaster. Phyllis stands at the center of it all, her emotions visible on her face as anger, pain, and determination collide. The camera lingers on each reaction, shock, fear, disbelief, highlighting the ripple effect her actions create. Yet despite the danger of the moment, the script is ultimately about the emotional stakes, rather than physical violence. The knife represents the breaking point of a woman who feels betrayed by the people and systems around her. It raises a question that has long defined soap opera storytelling. How far will someone go when they believe they have nothing left to lose? As the confrontation unfolds, characters begin to reveal hidden motives and long-buried truths. Accusations fly across the room, alliances begin to crumble, and secrets threaten to surface. In true The Young and the Restless fashion, the crisis becomes more than a single dramatic moment. It becomes a catalyst that could reshape relationships throughout Genoa City. For viewers, this kind of storyline captures the thrill of daytime drama at its most intense. Fans tune in to witness emotional showdowns, shocking twists, and powerful performances that keep them on the edge of their seats. A scene like this would likely spark endless speculation among audiences. Is Phyllis truly capable of hurting someone? Is this a calculated move to gain leverage, or a genuine breakdown caused by overwhelming pressure? The script explores those possibilities by leaving room for interpretation. Phyllis's actions can be seen as both reckless and strategic. On one hand, she appears driven by raw emotion, lashing out against the forces that have cornered her. On the other hand, anyone who knows Phyllis understands that she rarely acts without thinking several steps ahead. The knife might not just be a weapon. It might be part of a risky gamble designed to force her enemies into revealing their true intentions. Patty eventually stopped near the railing and looked out over the dark water, her expression drifting into a dreamy smile. She spoke about how peaceful the lake felt at night, how the world seemed far away when you were surrounded by nothing but waves and moonlight. Jack nodded politely, but inside his mind was racing. Every second mattered. Somewhere out there, his family had to be searching for him. Billy would never sit back and accept his disappearance without a fight. Diane, Kyle, and the rest of the Abbott family would be pushing every resource they had to find him. Jack held on to that belief like a lifeline. But he also knew that the vastness of Lake Michigan made their task nearly impossible without a clue. Back in Genoa City, Billy Abbott was still studying the photographs Victor had provided. The more he examined them, the more convinced he became that something important was hidden within the background of one particular image. The photograph showed Jack lying unconscious, but behind him was a faint structure, something metallic and geometric that Billy believed resembled a marina dock. Billy zoomed in further until the image became slightly distorted, but the outline was still visible. Diane leaned over his shoulder, her anxiety growing by the second. She had spent the last several hours trying to remain hopeful, but the fear that Jack might be in serious danger refused to fade. Kyle stood nearby with his arms crossed, silently analyzing the image as well. "Look at that corner," Billy said quietly, pointing to the screen. "That's not random. That looks like part of a docking ramp or a marina barrier." Kyle leaned closer, squinting at the screen. "If that's a marina, then maybe Jack was moved onto a boat." Diane's eyes widened slightly as the possibility sank in. A boat on Lake Michigan? Billy nodded slowly. It would make sense. If Victor wanted to hide someone where they couldn't easily be found, the middle of the lake would be perfect. Despite the logic behind Billy's theory, he couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that Victor might be manipulating them. Victor Newman was famous for setting elaborate traps. Billy knew that better than anyone. It wouldn't be the first time Victor had planted a false clue to mislead his enemies. Billy rubbed his chin thoughtfully as he considered the possibilities. "This could still be a trap," Billy admitted. "Victor might want us chasing the wrong lead." Kyle frowned slightly. "Maybe. But it's the only lead we have." Diane nodded firmly. "Then we follow it. We don't have the luxury of ignoring anything right now." Billy could see the determination in Diane's eyes. She was terrified for Jack, but she was also ready to fight for him. That strength reminded Billy of how much Jack meant to the entire family. Jack had always been the one who kept the Abbotts grounded. Losing him would tear the family apart. "All right," Billy said finally. "If Jack's on the lake, then we start checking marinas. Every one of them." Kyle immediately grabbed his phone, already thinking about which contacts might help narrow down the search. The Abbotts had connections all over Wisconsin and Illinois, and if there was a suspicious yacht docked somewhere near Lake Michigan, someone might have noticed it. Meanwhile, Victor Newman sat in his study at the Newman Ranch, staring quietly at a glass of scotch. His expression was calm, but behind that calm exterior was the mind of a strategist calculating every possible outcome. Victor knew exactly where Jack Abbott was being held, and he also knew that keeping Nikki in the dark about it was becoming increasingly risky. Nikki entered the room slowly, her eyes studying Victor with quiet suspicion. "You've been distant all evening," she said carefully. "Is there something you're not telling me?" Victor set the glass down and gave her a measured look. There are many things happening right now, Nikki. Nothing you need to worry about. That response only deepened Nikki's concern. After decades of marriage, she knew Victor's habits better than anyone. Whenever he gave vague answers like that, it usually meant he was hiding something major. Jack Abbott is missing, Nikki said firmly. And somehow you're acting like you know more about it than you're letting on. Victor didn't respond immediately. His silence spoke louder than words. Nikki's voice hardened. Victor, what have you done? Victor exhaled slowly, choosing his words carefully. I am handling the situation. That's not an answer, Nikki replied sharply. Victor turned toward the window, avoiding her gaze. In truth, he hated lying to Nikki. But revealing that he was working with Patty Williams to hold Jack hostage would ignite a conflict that could destroy everything he was trying to accomplish. Nikki folded her arms, her patience wearing thin. If you're involved in Jack's disappearance, Victor, I swear to you, I am protecting this family, Victor interrupted calmly. But Nikki wasn't convinced. Something about Victor's tone confirmed her worst fear. He was involved somehow. And when the truth finally came out, she knew she wouldn't stay silent. Across town, Lauren Fenmore Baldwin and Michael Baldwin were also beginning to realize that something enormous was unfolding in Genoa City. Lauren had just finished explaining Phyllis Summers' job offer when Michael raised an eyebrow. Phyllis offering you a position at Newman Enterprises, he repeated. That sounds complicated. Lauren sighed. That's exactly what I thought. It could create problems with the Newmans. Michael leaned back in his chair, thinking carefully. Phyllis rarely does anything without a bigger plan. If she's making moves right now, it's probably connected to something major. Lauren nodded slowly. Like Jack disappearing? Michael's eyes narrowed slightly. Possibly. They both knew that Phyllis had a history of making bold and dangerous deals. If she was negotiating with Victor over something as massive as a chancellor trade involving Lily Winters and the twins, then the situation could escalate quickly. Back on the yacht, Patty had grown more animated as the night continued. She spoke excitedly about the swap she wanted to arrange, pacing back and forth while Jack listened patiently. You see, Patty said enthusiastically, this whole situation could end beautifully if everyone just cooperates. Jack tilted his head slightly, maintaining a friendly tone. And what exactly does cooperation look like? Patty smiled mysteriously. It means you keeping your promise. Jack knew she was referring to the kiss she had demanded earlier as part of their strange bargain. Though the request made him deeply uncomfortable, Jack understood that refusing her could destroy the fragile trust he was building. He stepped closer, forcing himself to appear calm. If it keeps things peaceful, Jack said smoothly, then I'll keep my word. Patty's face lit up with excitement, clearly thrilled by the attention. For a moment she looked almost giddy. But beneath Jack's composed exterior, his mind was still searching for a way out. Because somewhere beyond the dark horizon of Lake Michigan, his family was getting closer to the truth. And when they finally found him, the confrontation that followed would shake Genoa City to its core.
Another fascinating aspect of the storyline is how it highlights the fragile nature of power in Genoa City. Characters who usually dominate boardrooms and social circles suddenly find themselves powerless in a moment of personal crisis. The balance of control shifts dramatically, reminding everyone that influence and wealth mean little when emotions spiral out of control. Ultimately, this imagined script aims to capture the spirit of dramatic storytelling that has kept the young and the restless captivating audiences for decades. The show has always thrived on intense character conflicts, moral ambiguity, and shocking twists that challenge viewers' expectations. By placing Phyllis at the center of such a dangerous and emotional confrontation, the story explores what happens when one of Genoa City's most unpredictable figures finally reaches her breaking point. As the scene reaches its climax, the tension becomes almost unbearable. Every character in the room understands that the outcome of this moment could change everything. Whether the knife is ultimately lowered, knocked away, or becomes the catalyst for an even larger crisis, the damage to relationships and trust may already be done. In the aftermath, Genoa City would be left grappling with the consequences. Questions would echo through the community. What drove Phyllis to such extremes? Who pushed her to the edge? And perhaps most importantly, can the fragile peace between these powerful rivals ever be restored? Through high-stakes drama, emotional depth, and unforgettable confrontations, this script concept delivers the kind of explosive storytelling that fans of The Young and the Restless have come to love. It places Phyllis at the heart of a moment that tests her limits, terrifies her enemies, and proves once again that in Genoa City, the line between control and chaos can disappear in a single, shocking instant. Continuing the dramatic expansion of this imagined storyline inspired by The Young and the Restless, the tension in the room grows heavier with every passing second. The silence that follows Phyllis's shocking move feels almost suffocating. No one expected the confrontation to escalate so quickly, yet anyone who truly knows Phyllis Summers understands that she has always been capable of unpredictable decisions when pushed to the edge. For years she has fought for survival in a city dominated by powerful families and ruthless power players, and that constant struggle has shaped the fierce determination now burning in her eyes. The knife in her hand glints under the lights, becoming the focal point of every gaze in the room. No one dares move too quickly. The tension feels like a fragile thread ready to snap at any moment. Some characters exchange worried looks, silently wondering how the situation could have spiraled into something so dangerous. Others remain completely still, hoping that calm voices and careful words might prevent the confrontation from exploding into something irreversible. Among those watching closely is Victor Newman, a man who has faced countless enemies and crises throughout his life. Victor is not easily intimidated, yet even he recognizes that this moment is different. Phyllis is not acting like someone who can simply be threatened or negotiated with in the usual way. There is a volatile mix of fury and desperation driving her, and that combination makes the situation far more unpredictable than any business rivalry or corporate battle he has fought before. Victor's eyes remain locked on Phyllis as he studies her carefully, attempting to understand exactly what she intends to do. For a man known for always being in control, the uncertainty of the moment is deeply unsettling. Yet he refuses to show fear. Instead, he stands firm, his voice calm but firm as he attempts to reason with her. He reminds her that whatever grievances she has, this path will only make things worse. But his words do not immediately break through the storm of emotions surrounding her. Nearby, Nick Newman watches with a mixture of concern and disbelief. Nick has seen Phyllis at her best and her worst. Their complicated history has included passion, betrayal, forgiveness, and heartbreak. Because of that shared past, he understands better than most people in the room that the woman holding that knife is not simply acting out of malice. There is pain behind her actions, pain that has been building for a long time. Nick slowly steps forward, careful not to startle her. His voice is softer than Victor's, carrying the tone of someone trying to reach a person he once loved deeply. He tells her that she does not have to do this, that whatever she is feeling can be resolved without anyone getting hurt. His words carry sincerity, but they also reveal the fear that the situation could spiral into tragedy if no one finds a way to break through to her. Phyllis's reaction to Nick's voice is subtle but noticeable. For a brief moment, the fierce determination in her eyes flickers with hesitation. It is a reminder that beneath the anger and defiance, there is still a part of her struggling with the consequences of what she has done. Yet the doubt quickly fades as memories of betrayal and manipulation rush back to the surface. She begins to speak, her voice trembling with emotion but growing stronger with every sentence. She accuses the people around her of underestimating her for years, of treating her like someone who could be pushed aside whenever it suited their plans. She talks about the lies, the secrets, and the games that have defined life in Genoa City. According to her, everyone in the room has played their part in creating the moment now unfolding. Across the room, Jack Abbott watches the confrontation with deep concern. Jack's history with Phyllis is as complicated as any relationship in Genoa City. They have shared moments of love and partnership, but their connection has also been marked by betrayal and disappointment. Seeing her in this state forces him to confront the painful realization that someone he once cared for deeply is now standing on the brink of destroying everything. Jack carefully steps forward, his expression calm but serious. He reminds Phyllis that she is stronger than the anger consuming her. He tells her that the woman he once believed in would never allow herself to be defined by revenge or desperation. His words are meant to remind her of the person she used to be, hoping that the memory might pull her back from the edge.